12:10. We get board members 10 minutes and Patel back on after our 10-minute recess.
Yeah, it was interesting to me to see how you all moved to make a decision without asking myself and Patel whether or not we were okay with extending and going beyond 12 o'clock when, we're used to having that 12 to 1 break. So it's also possible that we may have had plans during that period of time, but no one asked us. You all just went straight to let's discuss it, whatever, and now you're back. There's a lot of preferential treatment here. This board is not an inclusive board, and I have said this before, and this is a prime example of that.
Apologies and noted. I didn't think about, I would have assumed that if anybody on the phone had any disagreement that they would have spoken up, because we certainly would have listened to anybody saying, no, that doesn't work for me. And I did ask, what do people want and what does board staff think? And that would have been a very appropriate time for anyone to speak up and say what does and does not work for them.
There was no pausing in that. You went straight from asking specific people, and then you went to, okay, let's just take a break so that board staff can figure out what they want to do.
And you are always welcome to interrupt and say, just a minute, please. I have something that I need to do and I'm not available during this time. You are always welcome to interrupt.
I'm going to say it again. This is not an inclusive board. There are certain voices on this board that weighs more than others, period.
Noted. Does anybody have an exception for not wanting to take a break for lunch? Hearing none, do we have board member Patel on the call?
Give me just a second. I need to unmute her. She's back on the call.
Member Patel?
Oh, wait, give me just a second.
Okay, sorry. We're just making sure you're unmuted.
There we go.
Okay, so board member Patel, you were on the call?
Well, when the meeting started, I thought we are on the lunch break. Are we not? What did I miss? What happened there?
We were debating on if we could just power through lunch because we only had very little to go on the agenda and just being able to be done early.
Well, did that?
I asked you if that works for you.
Well, did that? I thought like the board staff, they have to take lunch for 1 hour. Is it not true? Because of some union rule, that was my.
They will get an hour break when we are finished with the meeting. So we could power through lunch and they could take a late lunch. And we would be still finished with our meeting for the board members who don't have to stay here.
No, well, let's just do 12 to 1 because that's not communicated with me. And I can't, I use my lunch break wisely. I have like other stuff to do too. This board is fine, but I have other job and other lives too.
So you would like the rest of us to stay here so that you can, so what I'm hearing is no, you would like us not to leave early and to come back at 1 o'clock?
Yeah, well, that's what we decided. If you want to decide early, then I should know. I turn off my laptop and everything. So I thought like we are just going on lunch.
We just have a few more things to finish. If you looked at the agenda, it's just mostly updates, hearing dates, and doing the consent agenda.
Well, that's what I always tell you, that you just only fit in the agenda what we can talk about. Like you can't just don't overfill with the agenda. So I would just say no, this is just No, let's just take 12 to 1 break. And if you, I mean, if you think like my
You're
vote
you're
doesn't matter,
outnumbered anyway, Patel.
was that?
That you
So
were outnumbered anyway, so it's fruitless to even put out that point because you're outnumbered. They already decided to take the break to continue, so at least you're getting your point on record. That's it.
This is not okay. This is not okay.
does anybody else want to chime in?
This is board member Beeman. I'm the one that suggested this just to try to save time because we don't have much less on the agenda. I didn't mean to offend anybody. I didn't make the decision myself. It was just an ask based on what staff can and can't do within their rules and employment status. And it was just can we save time and consolidate this rather than take an hour break to come back for a very short period of time? We're well within the Oregon rule of under 6 hours. And so I thought based on what we have left, we could finish in that under 6 hours. Staff could get their break after. And so the only reason we took the short break was for them to clarify.
Thank you, board member Beeman. And I would have, I understand that, but if this one was communicated, I would have it totally. I would consider, and now I can see what you're trying to say and what you're trying to do. But I mean, like I turned off my laptop, this iPad and everything, and I was like, oh, we are on break. And then someone texted me like, no, you guys are not on the break, and I was like, what? So. So are we in the executive session? We are on the open session. We are in the session, or we are just thinking, or whatever it is.
Board member Kroger, I think we had taken a 5-minute break to discuss if it was possible to take or to postpone the lunch break due to the amount that was left on the agenda. And I understand that historically we take the 12 to 1 lunch break, but we do not necessarily and have not historically noticed that to the public. So I think the time that the lunch break starts, people have become accustomed to, and I totally understand and hear how, especially when virtually, it's tough to not always track what's happening here in the room. So I understand where the confusion and frustration comes in, and it was not an intent to be as disruptive, this decision to power through the meeting. I find it very common in general that if we're towards the end that we would delay breaking for an extended period of time in order to expedite the completion of the meeting. So apologies to those on the call virtually for the confusion that happened.
No worries, I understand, and I'm kind of pretty accommodating person when it's come to this kind of situation. But I feel like if I would have suggested, then I'm pretty sure that would have been flat now. It happened in the past too. Now it's like, hey,
There isn't anybody here who would have said, this is what President said. If anybody on the phone said, hey, we only have 15 more minutes on the agenda, would you like to power through? You would have
yes,
had
board member
people.
Chin, let me tell you, board member Chin, in the public session, I was giving my presentation, and that time the former president stopped me, dot at 20 minutes. Even my presentation 20 to 30 minutes, and we all left early. And it happens so many times with me. I don't want to, I don't want to like drag all those things and what happened in the past, what don't. But if you're going to do this, then you have to make sure that you accommodate every board member request, then not just one or two or certain. That is just not right. And that's what that was. I just can't stand that.
Says, we just need to know if.
Yeah, then you got my answer, but you don't even need my answer. You don't even need my vote. That's the point. You can go on, whatever you guys decided. That's all right. Thank you.
Board Member Kroger, I'd like to say, I think that, President Chin, continues to strive to make sure all voices are heard. And I appreciate the work that you do, President Chin. Interim Executive Director Klein, I ask that you continue to make sure that we self-regulate ourselves and make sure that voices are heard, and that any board member who doesn't feel like their voices are being heard or respected in this group, that you take it seriously and that we follow up action. I think that you are kind of that regulator within this group, for whatever this current group is, whatever future president, that you continue to alert us to if you feel like there is any sort of bias or ignoring of other voices within the room.
This is Board President Chen. Thank you, Board Member Kroger, and I have tried diligently to make sure that board members are heard and have reached out as much as I can to board members who are on the virtual call to make sure that I have made sure that they are included, and I'm doing my best to make sure that you are included, but I also encourage you to speak up, and that is always welcome. So I'm still not sure where we are on whether we're going to continue the meeting and be done, or if we are going to have the rest of this hour for a break.
Board Member Kirkbride, does it require a unanimous decision of the board? If it does not, then I would say the chair makes the call whether or not we're going to lunch.
Do that to me.
If it does require unanimous, then there are two people that are not in favor of that, and then I think we should take our lunch break and take an hour lunch. But let's make a decision.
You could call for a vote.
The thing is that the accusation on the floor was that we only hear that whoever loses still doesn't feel like it's fair or they're heard. And so I don't feel like doing a vote is gonna resolve the accusations. And that's what is my concern, is the accusations that are being made.
Board Member Pinero, can I suggest we move on and table this so that we can get through what we need to get through, so I can go, please?
Yes, Board Member Pinedo, needs to drive back, and it's very scary wintry conditions on her way back. If it would appease the members on the virtual call, if we could go ahead and move through our agenda so that we can assure a safe travel home for Board Member Pinedo, that would be awesome. Board Members Hemming and Patel, your thoughts?
Sure.
Thank you, Board Member Patel. Board Member Hemmings?
I'm going to be abstain from this decision. You guys make the decision. It's not like I'm going to die if I don't eat. I'm fine. Let's just move on with the agenda. Let's just get over with this day, and I'm fine. I'm good. Let's just move forward.
Thank you. I'm still checking in with Board Member Hemmings. Member Hemmings, are you still with us? Staff, Melvin,
She's on the call, however, her microphone's muted. Board Member Hemmings?
Board Member Hemmings, your microphone is muted. Had an appeal from a board member here, about trying to finish up so that they can try to get home in a more timely manner when there's still daylight out. I will make a command decision since I have done, I think, my due diligence in asking. Everybody's grace for this, and I think we're gonna move forward then. So, are we on in public and ready to roll? All right, issues and activities, on your agenda are the 2025, 2026, and 2027 board meetings. I want to please note to everybody that all of these are 3-day in-person meetings unless you request to be virtual, except for the strategic planning meetings as noted. The rulemaking dates for 2025 are noted in May and November. And yes, one of them is during Thanksgiving week. I think it's a. It is during Thanksgiving week. Now I'm gonna have a discussion about the board member delegate for the upcoming NABP annual meeting, May 13th through 16th in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Traditionally, the board vice president would go to the annual meeting and the board president would go to the regional meeting. I.
Be determined on my end, but it's by President Joyce. There's some things I have to work out. Work is probably fine, but it's the work-life decision, being on during that time.
Understood. So, does anybody have any questions, concerns about how it has this has typically happened? The NAPB's has a travel grant for one representative. It's typically the president or the vice president. Board
This is
member-
board member, sorry, go ahead, board member Kruger.
You can go.
No, you can go. I'll go later.
Board member Kroger, in the event that board member Joyce, is unable to attend, would he go back to the board president?
We go back to the board president.
I'll have
Board
a
member-
final.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead, board member Patel.
Board member Patel, like, I know what we are doing traditionally, what we are done in the past 20, 30 years, but I don't think so we should continue that way. I think every board member should get a chance to attend those board meetings, NABP meetings. It is very, very informative because I can speak for my experience. When I was attend this board, what I know and what board members know that time, and when I go to national level, it's a day and night difference. And sometimes what they, present and what's going on with the other state is really, really important. So I don't think so. We just stick to just the president, vice president every time go to the board meetings. I think it should be by the board members. Like every meeting, this board member, I'm like, we have to rotate that who can go.
This is board president Chin. We can certainly add that to a topic of discussion. And we can also, we're at some point when our budget isn't in arrears in the future, depending on what happens with the legislature. Other boards budget for more than one board member. Well, actually, we're not even paying for a board member. The NAPB is paying for the board member. But the board's budget for board members to go to these meetings. And so that's something that we can
I think
discuss.
misunderstood. Board member Chin, I think like you misunderstood what I'm trying to say. It's not in the rule or statute that only the vice president and the vice chair can go. What I'm saying, instead of president and vice president go every time, it should be like by seniority, like, right now it's board member Beeman will be not there, but it's like whoever after them, let's say board member Hall will go, then another meeting, board member Kirkbride go, then board member Panetta go, like something like that, instead of just the vice chair and president go. That's what I'm trying to say. Then everyone get the opportunity to attend those meetings and collaborate with all other boards and what they are doing. It can be, it was very eye-opening for me. So that's what I'm trying to say. Not just the one person go every meeting. And then whoever go, they're supposed to.
You don't
feedback
go, you
it
don't
or
go
not.
to every meeting, you go to one meeting. So as the board president, board vice president, you go to one meeting, you go to one annual meeting and you go to one regional meeting, because you're only here for one term. Just to clarify, you're not going to all the meetings. You get to go to one regional and one
Yes.
national.
I understand board member too, but how many meetings did you go so far, Sue?
That was because they didn't get, I'm speaking to the answer. There were
Yeah.
circumstances where the previous board president was not able to go. And so I was the vice president and went in his stead.
Board Member Kirkbride, I do support Board Member Patel's comment, and I think it's, a good comment, asking for a rotation, but my question is, because I heard the word grant, does the grant that we are getting to fund that trip afford that flexibility? And if it doesn't, I would not be in favor of increasing our budget to make that happen, although I like the idea. So do we know if the grant we are using allows for someone other than president or vice president?
This is interim executive director Klein. I'm not sure what the specifics are in NABP, but CG Shelby Flores will find out for you.
Thank you, CG. Yes, board member Beaman.
This is board member Beeman. Is there a deadline that we have to have this person prior, like set, that we nominate this person to go prior to the April meeting? Is there a deadline sooner than that?
This is coming up soon because they have to arrange for all the travel stuff.
So this is board member Patel and this is board member Patel. So the grant come from the NABP for the delegated voting member. So that grant, they cover everything. And the second thing is board member Beeman. No, you can change it because I have seen so many times, like I talked to, no, you can change and they are very, very accommodating. I mean, like you cannot say on the day before, of course, then, you book your flight and everything. But I think they give you like a 1 month before you can change or something because they have the travel agency too. So that's what my understanding is from my past experience.
So Vice President Joyce, I'll have an answer for, and I will let President Chin know exactly within 7 days.
So I am in support of board member Patel's petition to change how we do things, but I don't know if we want to do that right now, if we want to have a discussion or what the rest of the board is. Go ahead, board member.
Member Beeman, correct me if I'm wrong, board member Joyce, but you have not been to any NABP meetings at all.
That's correct.
Okay, so
This is the one that he would be going to, and then he would be going as if he were elected as the board president, he would go to the regional meetings.
So, since he has not gone and we are asking for exposure for all board members, I think if we can have the discussion once we get more information about the NABP grant and the timelines. I think that in fairness, sending, if he's available, Vice President Joyce in this case would meet the criteria we're all, at least it sounds like we're all looking for here, because this is a board member who has not gone to any meetings. So I think it also is in terms of why it's kind of always done this way. I think as vice president, it's very informational going into the role and potentially the presidency the next year to attend the national meeting and be aware of what is happening in the world of pharmacy going potentially into your presidential year. And, not every vice president will be elected president, but that is the general kind of method. Not saying we have to keep doing that because it's always been done. That's the discussion from when we have our elections. But in this case, I think that board member Joyce fits the criteria that is what has happened and also a new board member going to get the experience.
Thank you, I appreciate that. And also in regards to seniority, I believe I am second in line.
Sorry, I forgot that. Yes, you are right.
Yes,
you.
Florida CG.
Yes, staff member Shelton Flores. So the description offered by the NABP Foundation, the annual meeting travel grant program assists active member boards in sending a voting delegate to the annual meeting.
Okay, so there's no position attached. Awesome. Okay, so if for any reason board member or Vice President Joyce is not able to attend the national meeting in May, how would you, as a board, like to? I mean, I've heard seniority, I've heard,
Remember, Pinito, for the record, I do not want to go, but I would like some information on what happens and what, because honestly, as a technician, I do not feel that the NABP meeting, me personally, I think that's more targeted to a pharmacist mostly at these meetings and change in other states and things. No, is it for everybody? Okay, well, I still don't want to go. But I do want some information given or presented on changes and how things are going, or, here, read this webpage. Anything would be great, but I'm not a fan of flying. So someone can take my spot, whether I'm here for years, a year, whatever, however. Thank you.
Vice President Joyce, so should we nominate a standby if I cannot go? Because my issues are, I believe my son has a baseball tournament around that time, and it's important to me. I'm also like an assistant coach.
Of course.
So there's, and,
So
I have a strong
so
interest in
yes.
an ABP as well.
so yes, we should. But
So we should nominate a
So-
standby.
So we already know that, board member Pinedo, at this moment, for this particular meeting, and then I don't know, so not everybody on the board has an interest. Not everybody on the board has a week off that they can afford to take from work or work pays for that. So these are all financial issues for board members as well, potentially. So do we want to just have a raise of hands and see who is interested in May, and then figure out how from that raise of hands, who and how we would go about choosing that person?
Board member Kroger, I'm supportive of anyone who's interested speaking now and then having a quick discussion on that.
Who would be interested in going to the May ABB annual meeting this year in case board Vice President Joyce is unable to attend? I mean, I'm very interested in going, but that would have.
I'm very interested, and I think we still don't have one board member Hamming. I don't know if she's there or maybe it's just technical difficulty. So if we have to I would just say we can wait at the end of the meeting to vote. It's not like you have to do it now. And just the FYI. But I'm always interested in every NABP meeting. It was very eye-opening for me. Thank you.
Noted board member Patel. Typically you do go, I think, aren't you on committees for NAPB?
Yes, I always go, but I don't go as a voting delegate. With my own expense.
Board member Kroger, I will be attending the meeting, but not as a voting delegate.
Thank you. And there is a difference.
Board member Joyce, who has not gone? Jennifer, have you gone? Oh, no. Are you interested?
Not this year, I can't go.
Board Member Kirkbride, I have never been to an NABP meeting and I would be interested in going if we need a delegate, and I can't get that time off. I can throw my hand up as interested, but I do respect and support that I am a newer member of the board, so however we decide to choose that person is fine with me.
So there are, I will respectfully bow out of being available, although I am if all the, oh, shit doesn't work out. And we have Board Member Kirkbride and Board Member Patel who are interested. Board Member Patel, I'm just curious, are you, if you are on a committee for NAPB, do they fund your travel to the convention?
What's that? Sorry, I missed the question.
That if you are, I'm not sure if you're, I thought that you were on a committee with the NAPB 102. Do they fund your travel to the conference then?
That is Research and Innovation Committee. And yes, they fund for everyone participate and they appreciate their time. So yes, they do fund for that. They do fund for board member NABP meeting. Just you went the last time in December. They fund that one too. And then they fund for, I think national they fund, but I'm not sure about the regional one. I'm not quite sure about that one.
Okay, so I'm in just terms of clarification though, they are already going to pay for you to go to the national meeting because of being on the innovation.
No, they don't pay for the national. National is different, right? National.
That's what I was asking. Okay.
Yeah, they all are different. And then national, the one you are talking about in the Florida, that one is paid by NABP to delegate, the voting delegate member. So if I'm the voting delegate, they will pay for it, and then I'll be voting delegate member for the Oregon Board of Pharmacy.
And talking about voting delegate, because we haven't had this conversation since I've been on the board either.
I think you were the voting delegate last time because you remember the president
Yes.
Ian was not come. Yeah, so that's different.
I understand, but I'm also have been thoughtful about what we haven't discussed. Having been able to attend that meeting. That voting delegate, I think that we have a meeting in April. I think we really need to, as a board, if we have a delegate representing us, I think on the meeting before the annual meeting, which is the only one that we do votes on, have a discussion about what the votes are going to be on, and if only if they're resolutions, okay.
Board Member Kroger, I don't know if the resolutions would be available for review at the April meeting. They may or may not be.
So the resolutions that were in mine, there was no big deal. I mean, the resolutions are, okay. Really aren't that big a deal. It's not like it's good change.
This is board member Patel. What need to be discussed? Because I also just like you, board member, in past 2 years, I have never seen any discussion on anything about NABP meeting. Or whoever board member go, they don't even share the information with the rest of the board members.
You had an opportunity to share your NAPB meeting. I was scheduled to do an NAPB thing, but we shortened our meeting by a day, so I didn't get to do my NAPB meeting. I would like to see us build in a brief presentation or a brief update on what occurred at the meeting for whoever the board delegate is that goes to the meeting, so we can work on putting that on the agenda. But I, again, would have been happy to do that, but we didn't have a day to do it. Yes, Board Member Kirby.
Board Member Kruger, I'm happy to, put something together for the April meeting to give all board members kind of a look into the NABP meeting structure, what happens before that meeting in May. So that the board members, and if there are resolutions that are published for deliberation at that time, sharing those. I'm happy to do that at the April meeting. Take more than 15 minutes, I presume, but I'm happy to do that since I've attended a number.
Yes, thank you.
This is Board Member Kirkbride. I agree. I think that would be very valuable. I have experience as an APHA delegate, and that's kind of exactly the process we would do with the state association and just making sure that all the stakeholders have had a chance to give input to their delegates. So when I hear the word delegate, I like that we're adding that process. So thank you for volunteering to do that.
Board Member Kruger, again, I do feel like there might be some more substantive resolutions that came out of the 6, 7, 8 meeting that may be presented at the
There
next
was
meeting.
one that,
There was quite a
the
few.
Arizona one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So I'm happy to kind of bring that together prior to the meeting.
I really like that one too. Yes, for staff running.
Staff member running, just for the record, the District 6, 7, and 8 meeting we went to in October. Initially, I was gonna present that at the December meeting, which got shortened. But I did provide a 1-page summary of that, which was sent out, I think, December 20th by Rosa. So I just want to make it clear that that was given to Rosa and it was sent out. I think it was at the bottom of that mailing. And given that close proximity to Christmas, I'm not sure everyone read that. I just wanted to make it clear that that was provided.
Thank you, appreciate that. Okay, so we have Board Member Patel and Board Member Kirkbride interested in being the delegate from our board to the National NAPB Convention. How do you all want to proceed with choosing a delegate? Draw numbers from a hat.
Yeah.
Arm wrestle, Board Member Patel, you need to come up.
We do a handwritten,
First, I, board member Buell, move to send board member Joyce to the 2025 NABP annual meeting in May. As our first choice, as our voting delegate. I move that, motion.
Second that.
We have discussion. No, because the motion's on.
You can take the motion,
You
though.
can take the motion off. Okay, board member Beaman, I remove the motion.
Motion removed.
Board Member Kruger, I'd like to amend the motion. I'll make my own motion.
The motion.
Board Member Kruger, I move to select Board Member Joyce as our for voting delegate for the annual NABP meeting with Board Member Kirkbride and Board Member Patel as potential backup in the event that Board Member Joyce cannot go. And we will discuss each one of those two if needed at a future date.
I'm gonna put
He
that.
doesn't like that.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just wondering if you, like, I was thinking from the timing perspective.
Yeah.
They're gonna need to know. before-
Right, I don't want to find out in April that I need to go to Florida in May.
So Board Member Joyce is gonna know next week. And so we just need to decide today, if he's not able to go, who would be the alternate backup?
This is board member Beaman, that's why I wanted to get the motion out there to get him solidified as our first choice.
I was gonna do that, and then if unable to attend, this person will.
Okay.
That was my motion initially.
Board Member Beaman, I, with respect of the board, think that it should be someone who does have more of a seniority on the board. So I would say, so whoever has been longest next to Vice President Joyce,
And hasn't gone, because that would be me.
whomever hasn't gone,
You.
but whoever has already been on the board
Mhm.
and that I get a presentation They do.
So then if seniority, and I think seniority is a great way to do it, and we do have board member Patel, who has been to the meetings on her own time. Hasn't been the voting delegate and is expressing interest and is able to go, is going anyway. I, if we're going in line of seniority, I would be supportive of sending her if board member Joyce can't go. I'm supportive of sending everybody, but I'm just trying to be fair in terms of not hierarchy, seniority. She would be, according to my records, next in line in terms of who's been on the board longest. I do believe that her and Rosamund, board member Hemmings started at the same time, but my recollection of that era is a little fuzzy, so I don't know if there was a difference. So either one of them interested would be the next senior people to go.
Anybody have any disagreements with the seniority road? Hearing none, go ahead, board member Kirkbride.
I was just gonna say, I move to send Vice President Joyce to the meeting as our primary delegate and board member Patel as our alternate delegate.
Member Beeman, I second.
So, thank you. Board President Shin is yes, Board Vice President Joyce.
Yes.
Board Member Beeman.
Yes.
Board Member Hall. Yes. Board Member Hemmons. Board Member Hemmons on the line. Muted. I'm in if you want to later. Board Member Kirkbride.
Yes.
Board Member Kroger.
Yes.
Board Member Patel.
Yes.
Member Pineda.
Yes.
Motion passes with Board Member Hemmings. I would assume is abstaining, because I think you're still on the call. Is there any board discussion on the consent agenda? Board President Shin, no. Board Vice President Joyce.
No.
Board Member Beeman.
No.
Board Member Hall. No. Board Member Hemmons. Remember Hemmons, you're either on mute or not speaking up. If you want to speak up anytime, please do so. Board Member Kirkbride,
No discussion.
Board Member
No
Kroger,
discussion.
Board Member Patel,
Board member Patel, no discussion.
Board Member Pineda.
No.
And we will approve the consent agenda. This is for the license registration ratification, consent 1, and the board meeting summary from December 2024, consent 2. Is there a motion to move to approve consent agenda as proposed?
Move, Vice President Joyce.
Second, board member Beeman.
Board Member Chin, yes. Board Member Joyce.
Yes.
Board Member Beeman.
Yes.
Board Member Paul. Yes. Board Member Hemmons. You are on mute or would like to add later, you're welcome to. Board Member Kirkbride.
Yes.
Board Member Kroger.
Yes.
Board Member Patel.
Yes.
Board Member Pineda.
Yes.
Motion passes with Board Member Hemmons abstaining, I assume. Public comment is not signed up, so we do not have that. And we will now take time for each board member to provide comments, items, ideas for future board meetings. And Board President Chin. None at this time. Board Vice President Joyce.
Vice President Joyce, yeah, I just want to state publicly, my frustration with the technicians having to pay additional $40 on the or the $40 increase. I just think it's unfair. And I think we should have addressed that issue sooner. So I have some regrets of not being able to have any input in that sooner. And secondly, also, are we setting precedent with what we did yesterday going into executive session to review a case without going into details? Are we able to do that in the future if someone says, hey, there's a specific case, I want to re-review this. And so going forward, I understand toggling back from executive session to public session and so forth can be problematic. Is that something that we can do, or maybe split in our agenda, set a time for a return to executive session to re-review any specific case or cases? So I just need to state that because that was done yesterday and we need to be consistent and fair going forward. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. And Board Member Beeman,
I have nothing.
Board Member Hall,
Member Hall, nothing at this time.
Board Member Hemmings. Just let me know if you change your mind. Board Member Kirkbride,
Nothing at this time.
Board Member Kroger,
Nothing at this time, thank you.
Board Member Patel.
Board Member Patel, I just want to add at some point, we want to discuss about agenda. That in terms like when can other board member, if they want to say like, hey, I want to put this one in agenda, can we put, or I want to give presentation, how long ago we have to say, or do we even have a voice? Can do other board members, do we even have them voice that, hey, I want to put this topic into upcoming meeting? And then my problem is, if I don't know what the agenda is for upcoming meeting, then I can't even say like, I want to put this agenda in upcoming meeting. You know what I mean? So I wish that we decide like for the rule making, and I'm not talking about cases, guys. I'm talking about the rule making or maybe any public for the open session. If we can just say like, so next meeting, we are going to have, rule making on this section, rule making on that section. So if you have something like you can ask that, hey, can I give presentation on this one? And again, it's not how to be like, oh my gosh, like you have to give us in detail and everything. No, just like, hey, let's say next upcoming meeting, we are going to make rules on the, let's say, temperature log or the cold storage one. And then people will be prepared. If they have to make a presentation, they want to give more information, they can give it to them instead of just, having agenda 2 weeks ago. Just the FYI. And I don't know if we have those. We can do that, but just my thought.
Board staff, you understand the request?
So I think what I heard was a request for clarification for how, like the procedure and timeline for which board members, aside from Board President Chin, can add items to the agenda.
Well, I think that there is a part of the, trying to find the original agenda. Glasses.
Board Member Kirkbride, in Robert's Rules of Order, there is a standing agenda item in each meeting for approval of the agenda. So once the motion is made, there can be discussion on that. And I think that would be the opportunity where someone could add an agenda item. However, what Board Member Patel is saying is that it would be more helpful to have that ability ahead of time, because in the same meeting is not timely enough. Is that correct, Board Member Patel?
Yeah, you are absolutely right. If I have to give really good information, but then I don't have enough time, or maybe we don't have enough time in that 3-day meeting.
But typically, this was an unusual meeting, but typically we are tight on time. That is correct.
I will take responsibility for working with our board staff to send out to all board members. Kind of, if you'd like to propose a meeting, for the agenda, you need to get it in by X date. Satisfy the request.
And
Yeah.
then I think a request is different from it actually happens. I think if there's so much that has to happen in terms of rules and in terms of what the business of the board has to do, that I just want to clarify that we're not, just because somebody requested doesn't mean it's going to happen right now. It can be, I think, I just,
Board Member Kirkbride, yes, that's correct. The chair approves the agenda. So it would be a request and then ultimately the chair would have the knowledge about all the background things and make a decision whether or not to add that item to the agenda.
and then I think that we've also talked about how, you know, in meetings past, that if there were going to be additional things that it would be that just one person wanted to talk about, that would be different from everybody on the board agreeing that, or however we want to say, you know, more than 50% of people want this added to the agenda. And so that's something to keep in mind in terms of only one person has, I don't know, we've talked about it's just one person who wants something different or something done that, and then that's not the rest of the board who has that, is in agreement with that. Is that something we want to spend our time on?
Just
We have
never
talked
mind.
about it
That's what
in
I did.
different words, but in different words, but it has been brought up.
Board
Not
Member
by
Patel,
me, but by previous.
okay, Board Member Patel, that's what I just say, that we can use the net, like, you know, 5, 10 or 15 minutes time at the end of the meeting. We can just say like, do you have, anyone has agenda that they wants to put on the next meeting agenda? And if no one has anything, it's perfect, move on. But if someone has to say, and what other board member is also say, like, you know what, that's really good presentation, that's really good information, that's really, I think that's the rule is bugging me too, let's just put on the next agenda. That's what I'm talking about. And just
So, but
never
that's
mind.
what, no,
Never
isn't that what we
mind.
just asked them? So matters to be discussed by the board. So did you have a request to put something on the agenda?
Just never mind, nothing. Let's just move on. That's fine. That's fine. I'm good. Thank you.
Oh, remember, so I'm really trying to make sure I understand. I think that it's morphed into something a little bit different because right now I'm asking if you have, so you're requesting that you get the board agenda as early as possible, so that you could prepare. And if you had something you wanted to,
No, so for example, let's say if we are all going to agree that, hey, we are going to review the locker rule next agenda, and it don't have to be in detail. I'm not asking everything in detail. It's just like, hey, we all are agreement that, hey, we should revise that locker, lockbox rule next time, or compounding, all the cold storage. We are planning to do that. And if I have that idea, then I do my due diligence. I kind of gather the information, and maybe if it's needed, I can even give like, hey, I have like this 10-15 minutes presentation I would like to share with everyone. That's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking in detail. I'm not talking if everyone is not agree, and I'm not looking for that. I'm just looking for what's going to be an upcoming meeting, so I just prepare.
okay. So April, we will be discussing the presentation that Staff Member Runyon did with the new kind of diagram about immediate, high, medium, low. And we were going to talk as a board about how we wanted to see those things moved through potential rulemaking processes, so that you have that information. And then a lot of the time is going to be spent on things that we always have to do in April. So there's going to be rule stuff, but these are just, remember Melvin explain it, what the
These are the standards adopted by reference rules that need to go to the May rulemaking hearing and the current temporary rule that we have out there for Division 115 that needs to be permanently adopted in June. And there may be something else coming forth. I don't know.
Okay, so we typically have a really full April agenda. And the ones that are just ratifying what we've already done before, but it just takes time. You have to do all of the rule process to make it go to rulemaking hearing in May. But I think a big part of our conversation is going to be with board staff Runyon about how we would like to move forward with what's on our priority list for rulemaking. Is that helpful for you for now? Member Patel? You're on mute, Board Member Patel. Member Pineda, we'll go to you for now. Do you have any matters to be discussed by the board?
No, we,
Board Member Patel, did you have any other comments? I think that I've tried to at least tell everybody what we're doing in April. We'll work on getting an agenda, or a draft agenda, because agendas change. We can do a draft agenda earlier to board members in your board pads, and anytime board staff puts anything in our pads, they always send an email. So we'll move on then. Staff Member Klein, any matters to be discussed by agency staff?
I don't have any.
Okay, before we adjourn, board members who took written notes before or during the board meeting, please add your name, date, and confidential if they were taken during executive session, and provide them to staff member Shelton Flores. If you would like to keep your written notes, please go to the board office with staff member Shelton Flores before you depart the building to make a copy. If you took electronic notes outside of OneDrive, email your notes to rachel.melvin@bop.oregon.gov. And is there a motion to move to adjourn the meeting today at 1:07 PM?
I move Vice President Joyce.
Second, board member Fidel.
President Chin, yes. Board Vice President Joyce.
Yes.
Board Member Beeman.
Yes.
Board Member Hall. Yes. Board Member Hemmons.
Yes.
Board Member Kirkbride.
Yes.
Board Member Kroger.
Yes.
Board Member Patel. Member Patel, you're on mute.
Oh, sorry, yes.
You and Board Member Pinedo.
Yes.
Okay, motion passes unanimously. We are adjourned at 1:08 PM. Thank you, everybody.